Alright, so what's up everybody? So the last video we put out, in case you missed it, was the top 5 things that I dislike or hate about the Yamaha Bolt. It's my Yamaha Bolt. They're pretty much all the same. And so if you haven't seen that video, I recommend you first subscribe to the channel and then go check out that video. And this video, we're going to do the top 5 things I do like or love or whatever, things that I really enjoy about my Yamaha Bolt. So without further ado, we'll just jump right into it. So the first thing is the engine. The engine is, let's be honest, about apples to apples here as far as competition. It's pretty much a copy of a Sportster, and it's trying to compete with a Sportster. And I think Yamaha did a pretty good job. I would argue that even though on paper the 1200 Sportster outperforms it with higher horsepower and torque numbers, at least from what Google told me, slightly higher. However, the 883, which is much closer in size, they're only what differenced by 1763 cc's. So very small difference between the displacement of this at 950, which I think is actually like 942 to be exact. So you know, compared to an 883, it performs way better, and arguably it's just better than the 883 in every way, which in my opinion is Harley's greatest engine. Now I know some will say the Evo, like big twins, so your 88 and your 96 cubic inch and your newer 103 and the new Milwaukee 8, they're all great engines. They're all great engines. I'm not arguing that. But in my opinion, the 883 is one of Harley's greatest engines. They're just as reliable as a hammer. You just can't beat them. As far as rideability goes, as far as reliability goes, build quality, they're great. It's like no one really has a problem out of an 883 that's been well taken care of. And that's why I think it's their greatest engine. But I think the Yamaha Bolt engine is slightly better. A hair less on the fuel economy than the Harley, in my experience, between my 883 that I had and this Bolt. However, the difference is very minimal, and the power numbers are definitely better on the Bolt. So, on to item number 2. Oh, going back to item number 1, it's not only just on paper with the numbers is it better, but just rideability is a lot better. It's a lot smoother. So after 3 hours in the saddle, I just feel like it's a lot better. Vibrations a lot less. Obviously, you'd expect that. It kind of goes without saying, but if you don't know, Harleys vibrate a lot. So anyway, on to item number 2. Still talking about the engine, but the engine's maintenance. Still comparing this engine to the 883. The 883, you do have split oil. You know, your chain-driven primary runs in my case, where I live, I was running 2050 in the primary and 1040 in the actual engine. So you got 2 separate split oils. This bike does not. This bike also has a slightly longer oil change interval, and the maintenance on this bike, as you know, outside of oil changes, like things like your valve inspection, it's all really easy to do. It has tappet style adjusters, so no ordering shim kits or no tearing everything apart and having to remove your cams to be able to actually get your shims out. None of that stuff. No checking your clearances, taking your cams out, and then waiting a week for you to order the correct shims. If you cheat like me and you don't want to order an entire shim kit, none of that. You don't have none of that. So you do those valve adjustments and you change the oil. Dead simple to do. Obviously change the oil filter when you change the oil. Dead simple maintenance schedule to follow. Has a 4,000 mile interval, and this bike should last easily 100,000 miles. Alright, the third thing that I really like about my Bolt is the style of it. You know, I was looking for that minimalistic Sportster. Call it a bobber, it's not a bobber, but that style, just simple, bare bones bike, a bar hopper kind of bike. In my opinion, it's kind of hard to mess that up. I can't really think of anybody offhand that has messed that up. Harley's got it right with the Sportster. Everyone loves it. I think Yamaha did a great job with the Bolt. Personally, I like it. So I like the looks, I like the style. I think they could probably do a little better job with some of the graphics and color options perhaps, but general style is one of the things I really enjoy. Alright, the fourth thing that I like about the Yamaha Bolt is the price. Now granted, if you're buying used, you can probably find a Harley Sportster for cheaper. May not be in very good condition, but they've been building them forever. You can find one for pretty cheap running and riding. It may look like a turd, but you can. You can also find Bolts pretty cheap. They've been out a few years now. You can find them fairly cheap. I'm talking under $4,000. Probably pretty close to $3,000. You can definitely get a Sportster for cheaper than that. So I'm not talking about used, because obviously the Sportster would win. It's been in production for 57 years or some ridiculous amount of time, or since 1957. I don't know. Been around a long time. So yeah, you can definitely find some cheap used Sportsters. However, talking about brand new, you're not going to find a brand new Sportster at any Harley dealership anywhere in the country or in any other country for $8,000. So the price definitely goes to the Bolt. That's one thing I like about it. If somebody was interested in a bike like this, either the 883, even the 1200 Sportster, or a Bolt, or anything else they could find that was similar in style, the only thing I can really think of that comes to mind is the Bolt and the Sportster. There would be other bikes that would be slightly more expensive than the Bolt, still within the Sportster price, like a Bonneville T100, but it's a totally different style. So just talking about this style of bike, there's really only a couple of options, and this one is the least expensive of the two. So if you're looking to buy a Yamaha Bolt and you're looking to get it brand new, then that's definitely a plus for the Yamaha Bolt. It's one of the things I like about the Bolt. It's a lot more inexpensive, especially for someone looking to buy new. And lastly, I kind of ruined it because I kind of mentioned this earlier in the video when I mentioned fuel economy, but it does still get good fuel economy for something that performs a little above its weight class, because it does perform a lot closer to a 1200 Sportster than it does a 883, even though it is nowhere close to being 1200 cc's and a lot closer to 883. It kind of punches a little higher up on performance than even I initially would have expected. And before I bought this, acquired this machine, I knew from reading reviews to expect that, and it kind of beat my expectations a little bit. So that considered, for it to still get in the high 50s fuel economy for the way I ride it, and other riders who are maybe not, taking it a little easier on it, not romping on it so much. I think I've seen 63-ish, that low 60s from multiple people reported, and one guy reported 67, which seems like a bit of a stretch. But I don't think that's totally impossible. I'm not going to call him a liar, but the best I've personally seen is 58. And I wouldn't say I ride it like a hooligan, but I like to get on it from time to time. So for it to get good fuel economy and punch above its weight class on performance while still getting good fuel economy, it's just like a cherry on top of the cake. So anyway, that are my top 5 favorite things about the Yamaha Bolt. So if you like it, let me know. Thumbs up, subscribe, leave a comment down below if you got any questions. If you didn't like it, leave a comment down below. Let me know what you didn't like. And until next time, peace.